Tonight, a Fox 35 News exclusive. For the first time, George Zimmerman's father sits down for a television interview. What he says happened the night Trayvon Martin was shot and killed.
It's my understanding that Trayvon Martin got on top of him and just started beating him.
And what's happened to his family since.
You're going to die now, or you're going to die tonight.
You'll see it only on Fox.
And good evening. It has been 1 month and 2 days since Trayvon Martin was shot and killed after an encounter with George Zimmerman.
In that time, Zimmerman has become a man hated by many. Tonight, for the very first time, his father, Robert, is going on television in his son's defense. Valerie Boy is live in our newsroom right now after spending much of the day with Mr. Zimmerman. Val?
Hi, Tracy. Well, 64-year-old Robert Zimmerman says after more than a month, he finally decided to speak out for his son. He says the police told him not to say anything, but he felt his son was being portrayed the wrong way. Zimmerman tells us he and his family have gotten thousands of death threats. He asked us not to show his face as he explains what happened the night his son shot and killed Trayvon Martin.
George was going to the store. He saw someone in his community that he did not recognize as living there. Because there had been a lot of break-ins in the area, he thought that was suspicious, that someone would not be walking on the street or the sidewalk, that they'd be walking right behind the townhomes.
Robert Zimmerman says that's when his son called police.
He called the non-emergency number first, and they asked him where he was, because he was at the rear of the townhouses. And there was no street sign.
Even though a dispatcher told Zimmerman not to follow Martin, his father says he continued walking to locate an address to give to officers.
He lost sight of the individual. He continued to walk down the same sidewalk to the next street so he could get an address for the police. He went to the next street, realized where he was, and was walking back to his vehicle. It's my understanding that at that point, Trayvon Martin walked up to him, asking, "Do you have a problem?" George said, "No, I don't have a problem," and started to reach for his cell phone. At that point, he was punched in the nose, his nose was broken, and he was knocked to the concrete. Trayvon Martin got on top of him and just started beating him. In the face, in his nose, hitting his head on the concrete.
And did Trayvon Martin say anything to your son as this was going on?
After nearly a minute of being beaten, George was trying to get his head off the concrete, trying to move with Trayvon on him into the grass. In doing so, his firearm was shown. Trayvon Martin said something to the effect of, "You're going to die now, or you're going to die tonight," something to that effect. He continued to beat George, and at some point, George pulled his pistol and did what he did.
So you're saying that Trayvon Martin verbally threatened his life?
Yes.
In those 911 calls, we hear what we think is a shot fired. Then you hear, "Help, help, help," and then another shot fired. Tell me, what was that first sound?
First sound, well, one of the sounds was a door closing. It's my understanding that the police have substantiated that. There was one bullet missing. Everyone heard one shot, except for the attorneys involved.
And what about the screaming, "Help, help, help"?
All of our family, everyone that knows George, knows absolutely that that is George screaming. There is no doubt in anyone's mind.
If you can hear the screaming, why can't you hear Trayvon Martin using those verbal threats?
I don't know. I don't know at what point he said that. Initially, when the Martin family got on and said that that was their son, I thought, well, they're grieving parents. the recording might not be that good, but when I heard the recording, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that that's George yelling for help.
So what about the girlfriend of Trayvon Martin saying he was being followed while they were on the phone and that Zimmerman attacked Martin?
I don't believe that happened. I don't believe she was on the phone with him. And I find it very strange with the publicity involved in this that all of a sudden after 3 weeks someone would remember that they were on the phone. I believe the FBI and others investigating this will find that that did not happen.
Zimmerman says his son suffered a broken nose and injuries to his head.
Well, currently he's not dealing with it well. I don't know if his injuries are physical or mental, but he's not in good shape.
This former judge and Vietnam vet never had to deal with anything like this. Seeing the president, the NAACP, and others react hasn't been easy.
And how does this all make you feel, going through this?
Unimaginable. Tough was being in Vietnam and other things in my life. This is just way beyond anything that I can imagine.
What's your next step?
I have no next step.
He believes his son will be cleared of any wrongdoing and has a message to all the critics out there.
I'm sorry for all the hate that's going around from their attorneys, from everyone involved. They're just making up things that are not true about George. How he is being portrayed is just an absolute lie.
And Zimmerman says his son was once an altar boy and belongs to a Catholic church. He'd also been mentoring 2 African-American children before the shooting. He tells us he had been studying criminal justice at Seminole State College and hoped to be a judge just like his father. And he maintains that his son is not a racist. He calls him colorblind.